Stallarholmens Vikings, that I'm planning to join, have a workshop every Wednesday evening in Stallarholmens elementary school. I followed Kim and Niklas to my first meeting, so they could introduce me to the Viking group. I have brought cookies. I have found out that if you're the new guy, bring something to share with the group. It will always be appreciated. I mean, who doesn't like cookies? And I'm sure that the Vikings 1,000 years ago also ate cookies. There are two workshops, one for wood and one for textiles. In the wood workshop, Johan was working on a staff. Tapio did some amazing wood carvings on his chest. Niklas worked on a chair. Kim on a wood stand for his mead horn. Simon painted linseed oil on his chair. Simon also has this amazing tattoo. I asked him how he got it. He answered, 2 bottles of absinthe and a friend with a tattoo machine. It felt like a good idea at the moment, said Simon. And in a way, I can kind of respect that, or at least I can understand it. Because who doesn't make impulsive decisions now and then? In the textile department, Tina worked on a gown, as did Annika and Eva. Dino was sewing pants, and Thomas worked on shoes. My first impressions was that I liked them all. They were a welcoming, laid-back, cool group of Vikings, open to answer all my new questions, and I had a lot of them. The Stallarholmens Vikings invited me to the last gathering for the year. There was going to be a big thank you dinner for all non-Viking members who had helped the Viking community over the year. So, it was okay for me to come dressed in my normal clothes. It was late fall and the Viking meeting took place on the countryside a few Swedish miles outside of Strängnäs. There was also an archery. I have never shot a bow and arrow before, so this is my first time. And I must say, not bad at all, almost a bullseye. When walking around and mingling with the Vikings in their costumes, I felt 2 things. First, that I was the odd man out. Basically, everyone had a really nice Viking outfit. 2, I badly wanted to start to make my own Viking costume. I work 6 days a week in my paint store. So Niklas and Kim had bought me some fabric so I could get started making my Viking wardrobe. The gray fabric is for the hood. The red fabric is for the shirt, and the green fabric is for the pants. I don't know how to sew, or had any idea on how to put all the fabrics together. That Wednesday, I walked into the textile workshop with my bag of different garments. There is no assigned teacher working in these workshops, but whoever is there and have the skill in the subject you're interested in will teach you. A really nice and friendly system. The first Viking woman I spotted was Marit. Me, when I really want some new knowledge, I want it instantly. I almost panic if I don't have it at once. It's like, how have I ever lived without this knowledge? So I asked Marit if it was possible for her to teach me how to make my own hood. The hood is made up of 3 parts, 1 rectangular and 2 square parts. So I first drew out the different parts on my grey wool fabric and then cut them out with a scissor. Marit instructed me by showing how the different parts should be put together.
Och lägger vi den kant till kant här. Och så nålar vi den. Och så tar vi den på den andra sidan så. Så den blir mopsad så här.
Then we tied the fabric parts with needles. After, I took it to the sewing machine. It all went surprisingly well. And at the end of that Wednesday evening, I had finished my first Viking garment. I was so happy. Thank you, Marit. The next Wednesday, Annika had brought some templates for Viking pants. I made a copy of them by tracing the templates onto new pieces of paper. But I made some adjustments to fit my own legs' length. I cut out my new paper templates and traced them over to my green piece of fabric. One template is for the front of the pants and one is for the back, because the ass piece is a little bit bigger than the front piece. The measurements for making pants are the length of your legs, the measurements around your waist and ass, and then from the point behind your balls up to the navel. I thought that the pants would go equally fast to make as the hoodie. I mean, it's just a few pieces of cloth that would be sewn together. But I was wrong. I had sewn the back piece and the front piece exactly the same for both legs. The problem arose when I was going to sew the legs together. I noticed that both of the pieces pointed in the same direction, so it wasn't possible to sew them together. I had to rip off the seam in one of the legs and re-sew it. Tina, who had come to some trouble herself on the piece she was working on, took a break and helped me rip off the seam. Now, moving on to the next stage. Anna gave me some pointers on how to connect the two legs. It seems simple enough. I pinned the pieces together with the needles and took it to the sewing machine. But yet again I made a mistake. On the front of the pants I have made the seam correct, but in the back I made the seam on the wrong side. So, back to rip off the seam again and make it right. After that small adjustment, I made something that looked like pants. They seemed a little bit big, but the fabric is going to hang, not sit tight around the legs. For the waist, I folded the fabric, not just so it would look better, but also create a tunnel, so I can pull a piece of elastic through it. But for some reason, I successfully made yet another mistake. I don't know how I succeeded, but it got me thinking of that movie named There's Something About That Mary. For all of you who have seen it, you know what scene from the movie I'm thinking about. After correcting that mistake, I cut a small hole in the waistline, in which I pulled elastic through. I don't want my pants to fall down, to reach my ankles in any Viking events. After I sewn the elastic together and closed the hole. Now, I was finally done with my pants. Time for the catwalk. For my next and final garment, the Viking shirt, Eva helped me to measure out my shoulders. I added 10 centimeters on each side and cut out the width and the length from my red fabric. In the center, I cut out a hole for the neck. I tried it on and it seems to fit really well. I got excited over such a good start that it looked like a shirt already. I made some measurements from my sweater that I usually wear and copied the measurements over to the red fabric. I cut out the rest of the Viking shirt pieces. Johan joined the textile workshop that evening. He was working on a Viking purse. Before sewing this time, I really made sure that the pieces and seams were placed correctly before I took it to the sewing machine. I only had one mishap, but it was an easy fix. The neck hole was a little trickier to do. That part needed to be hand sewn. First, I put like a million needles to hold the folded edges together. Then Annika showed me the best way of making a beautiful seam. It took me some time, but I think it turned out great. My last Viking garment, the Viking shirt, was finally finished. I dressed myself in the 3 Viking garments. Happy and proud, I made a catwalk in front of the recording cell phone. Now I can finally participate in any future Viking events and adventure without being an outsider, but a true Viking. Hi, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe. Until I see you next time, bye bye!